two, one.
Oh my God, it's already recording. Sorry. I thought it was like a 2-step recording thing, and I guess it wasn't. I don't know. So
it's okay. It's okay. People know what kind of shoestring budget we have here. Hey, everybody. It's your disappointed content going friend, Shawwal 360.
And Mason.
And you know it's good when you hear right
company. Ooh, I thought that was good this time.
I hope so.
Okay.
And right now, we're not doing a right company. I don't know why we do this. This is just trademark at this point. But yeah, we're not doing right company. What are we doing, Mason?
We are doing the Korean Boys Love Roundup, which take 3. This is the 3rd time we filmed this now.
Yes, but to be fair, the first time we filmed it was very short.
Mm-hmm.
Then we filmed it a second time and we made a clerical error. And so I feel like this is almost time 2.5. It feels like 2.5 to me.
It's too many to talk about mediocrity, but let's get into it.
Okay, well, spoiler alert. I guess you know how we feel.
At least how I feel.
Well, okay, yes, because Mason knows that one of these is far superior to the other two, in my humble opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So we reviewed Wish You, Your Melody from My Heart. We reviewed To My Star, and we reviewed Color Rush. And there is another one that's airing right now, or maybe I think it just finished, called You Make Me Dance. We didn't review that one because we're refilming what we had filmed previously, and at that time You Make Me Dance had not finished, so we didn't decide to go ahead and up that too, because talking about 4 series in one video is just far too many.
Yeah,
3 is
3.
Yeah. All right, so let's start with Wish You, Your Melody from My Heart. And let us start with the fact that this just makes me really, I don't know if we noted this the first time we did the review. There's 2 main characters. There's Sang-hee and there's Kang In-seo. These are their real names. These are their real names. And Sang-hee is from a group called My Name, and Kang In-seo is from a group called Impact. And I just have to say this, how dare you? How dare you use their real names? Because only one of 2 things occurs. Either you are so uncreative that you're like, I can't think of a name to give them, so let's just let them use their real names, or one of your actors is such a bad actor that if he had to memorize a fake name, they wouldn't be able to do it. So like, just call each other by your real names, because you're going to forget.
Maybe they're thinking of like, That's So Raven, or Everybody Loves Raymond.
No, because Raven was the only one on that cast who kept their real name. Everybody else had a fake name. Orlando Brown did not keep his real name. Corey in the House did not keep his real name. Raven was the only one, and that's because she literally was the whole reason why that show even existed. She was the star. But yeah, no, this was lazy. This was really lazy. So let's give a plot synopsis. Mason, would you like to give the plot synopsis?
Sure. Boy A is like a music, he's like an intern at like a music production company, and he sees boy B busking and takes like some videos of it, or someone else is taking videos of it. Anyways, he shows like a YouTube video of boy B busking to the head of the label, and they sign him. And part of the agreement in signing him is that boy A and boy B are gonna have to live together. So like boy B can kind of like keep tabs on him for the label and make sure he's not, breaching contract in terms of personal life stuff.
But someone's hiding a dark secret.
Yeah. Oh, so dark. Yeah, very dark. I don't remember any of you just told me their names, but I don't remember which is which.
Okay, so Kang In-seo is the busker, and Sang-hee is the studio musician / intern. And this show really suffers from the fact that they had a skeleton plot and they added no meat to it. There are so many
Nope.
extended sequences of people singing full songs in this show. And there are areas where plot absolutely could have been added, but instead they said, let's go with your strong suit because one of you absolutely cannot act, and let's just have you sing. And that's what happened. Now, the person I'm saying who can't act, if you don't already know, is Kang Yi-soo. Kang Yi-soo is from the group Impact. In fact, he's got another web series I think he's been hired for. He can't act. He cannot act. I'm not even saying that to be rude or mean. I mean that with my whole sincere heart in my hand. He can't act. He has basically one expression. He doesn't have good eye control. Like, his face just really reads one note. Honestly, if they had made his character arc the fact that he may have had like some kind of neurodivergent issue, and that's the reason why he's not able to display emotions, that would have been a brilliant move, because that's the way he comes across on screen. He comes across as somebody who doesn't even have the capability to express joy or anger or sadness. He just lives his entire life with one kind of half-pleasing face.
Drag her.
He is the emotional equivalent of oatmeal. It's pleasant when it's warm, but other than that, there's not really much I can say about it. It needs something.
Okay. He's the singer in the show, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, his acting was bad. I didn't think anyone's was good.
His is the worst. Out of everything we watched, the only person who was worse than him is the person who's the literal equivalent of unseasoned rice. And that comes in Color Rush. We'll talk about that when we get there.
Oh my God. Yeah, okay. But yeah. I feel like with Wish You, I was more concerned with just how like mind-boggling the plot was, because like nothing happened in the way it maybe should or you think it would happen. Does that make sense?
It has the skeleton plot that they didn't build on. And it's frustrating as a viewer because there were so many places that you could have built on. For instance, the main character, his parents have been actively thwarting his efforts to become a singer. Every record label who's tried to sign him, every opportunity that's been passed his way, his parents have suppressed. His parents literally own the record label that signs him in this show, and then they shut that shit down.
Right.
Now, the question would be, why is this? The only thing we get is he's a chaebol and they don't want him to do something as, I guess, mediocre or shameful as singing. But you could have totally built up on that. You could have made the story that, you know, his dad is the son of this chaebol family. His mother was an actress or a singer. They had a really rough divorce and the family thought the mom was shameful. And when they saw the artistic side of the grandson, they kind of tried to push him away from it, but he had this natural talent. So he kept trying to go for that. And they wanted to suppress that because the mom had some tragic end, and they knew that if he became a star, that tragic end would be brought back up and that shame would be revisited. Like, that would have been something really interesting, because that actually takes a little bit of inspiration from real life. That's actually happened in Korea before, where an actress married into this really rich family, bad things happened with her, and she ended up taking her life. And her kids were like kind of shuffled away with the rich family, and they never got a chance to talk about their mom. No one got to ask them anything about their mom until they had like got of age. So that would have been an interesting storyline to have happen. Another thing that would have been a lot more interesting would have been if Sang-yi, who is the intern that was staying with him, had actually gotten a chance to talk to him. It's really strange because we talk about this a lot. We always say, what does this couple talk about? That is a thing that is really forefront on Mason's mind. And we had a lot of scenes with them walking around with one guy having his arm over the other and them kind of like fake laughing about nothing with each other. But Sang-yi is an intern in Korea who lives on his own, not with his family. We know nothing about him. He could have been a person with a dark past as well. You could have linked that somehow. You could have said that, you know, his family didn't encourage his musical pursuits because he came from a poor family. And they said, if you're going to do this, you're going to have to do it on your own. And so he came to Seoul and he worked really hard and he got this position. And his dream is to one day be a famous producer or a famous songwriter. And we could talk about his hardships of, dealing with poverty. And then he's stuck living with this rich kid who's got everything at the tips of his fingers and he's not making it, and him kind of building this resentment because he's like, you have talent, you got a record deal handed to you, you have this beautiful place, you're not struggling for anything, but yet here I am giving it my all and it's not happening for me and life feels unfair. So those are two separate story conflicts that could have been introduced to this skeleton of a plot. Never done, never talked about, nothing ever happens.
It's very bizarre. It feels like someone came to them with like, all right, we're going to do another boys love. Here are some bullet points that we have. And then when the writer got to writing, they just didn't add anything else. They like loosely strung along these bullet points some executive gave them and were like, all right, that's the show. It's very bizarre. And I can't tell if people who made this show are just like, they're not good at their job, they just can't make a good show, or if they were really trying. Like, I just can't tell if they were lazy or if they were really trying and failed at it.
It really feels to me like and that this is the same with all three of these stories, it really feels to me like they logged on to AO3 and they picked the stories that had like the most kudos, and then like, okay, so this plot is about a musician falling in love with a regular person. Oh, this plot is about a famous chef or a famous actor falling in love with a poor chef. Oh, this story is about two high school students who are soulmates. Like, it feels like they did that, and that's how they made all three of these shows. And the thing is, if you are a person who reads a lot of these AO3 stories, you know that the endings are always kind of open-ended, happy endings, and they don't really get into the weeds a lot of the time. And so I feel like the way this particular story ended, it's like it had an open-ended, happy ending, but if you look at the realities of the show and the way that they structured it, there's no fucking way this is a happy ending. This man's family has at every point been preventing him from being able to be a star, and at the end of the story, three people quit their job to try to help make him a star. Now, if
which is stupid, because he's rich and he doesn't need the money, whereas they probably got paid pretty decently at this big record label.
Also, it's never addressed why his family continues to support him in terms of like funding his life while he does nothing, yet they don't encourage his dream.
It's very weird, very bizarre. Does not make sense.
Yeah.
Also, like, there were like two like main conflicts in the film, and none of them really made sense. The first one was this really dumb, convoluted, like, they're in the recording booth and the producer's like, oh, I made this version of the song with like some extra like stuff added on, noises, musical instruments added on, and he plays it for the guy, and boy B just like storms out and he's like, they're ruining my art. And then it's like, okay. And then we find out that he got all mad for nothing because like the lady who's like in charge of him was like, oh, I did that as a test to see if he was a true artist. And it's like, this is dumb.
It's so stupid.
And it's fucking around with that for no reason.
Like, it would have been more effective if it had been that they had maybe produced it in a way that wasn't his style and he jumped out of there, but it was still a good attempt at production. Also, it would have been nice if they let us hear it. That would have helped. And then, go ahead.
Yeah, they didn't let us hear it. I was just agreeing with you.
Yeah. And then Sangli could have said like, hey, this was their first attempt. They don't know you yet. You could have collaborated and tried to tell them this is where things need to change, but instead you storm out. How are we supposed to work with you if you won't communicate with us? And that could have been something that could have been story building, because then it could have showed them in the studio working on the production, getting close as they're working on the production. Like, what do you think of adding this here? What do you think of putting this there? Also, it could have grown Sang-yee's character because he could have contributed to that. He could have been like, actually, you know, it would have been nice if you put a vocal layer right here. This is where I can hear a harmony. And then he could start playing and the other could be like, oh my gosh, You're a genius. I want to spend all this time writing music with you. And that would have made it
Yes.
go along.
And they should have had the other boy be the second vocal layer, like put him in the recording booth for a minute.
Yeah. So like there's so many places that this plot could have went, and it just chose not to go anywhere. Probably the most frustrating part of this, which could have been left out, didn't need to be put there at all, fucking dumb. There's a scene where Sang-yi gets a promotion, and it's his first day at work after he gets his promotion, and he's put in like, I guess the PR department, I guess, and he has to read press releases or whatever, and this lady in the PR department is like really being a bitch to him. And so finally he gets a call from the woman that he's directly supervised by to come to the studio to help out. And as he's leaving, that girl says, "Oh my gosh, did he tell on me?" And it sounds like that should be the start of some kind of rivalry or some kind of villainy or some kind of other like conflict. We never see that bitch again. Never. It's never brought up. We never see him working in that department anymore. All the employees who were kind of giving him weird looks, we never see them again. Like it never factors in. And it's like, what was the point of making it seem like he had some kind of like workplace rival or workplace villain, but then you do nothing with her story?
No idea. And I feel like another way this plot could have gone too, and like a major storyline they could have had was, one of the things in the contract, it's like, don't do anything scandalous that the public wouldn't like now that you're signed to our label. But he's fucking around with this kid from his label, this man from his label. I kind of thought that was going to be like the thing, like the company finds out that they're together and it's a big thing, and maybe he gets let go from the label. Anything, literally any plot would have been good.
Yeah. Instead, we got
this is the plot. It's tissue. It's thin.
Yeah. So let's give our review. Out of 1 to 10, I give this show a firm 5. In fact, almost a 4.5, but I say 5 because it is very pretty. It is a very pretty show. And also, I give it a 5 because I feel like the kid who plays Sang-mi was really trying. The female executive that was like the other kind of main side character, I thought she was a strong actress. She had a lot of charisma. I would enjoy seeing her in other things. But, and also, the main singer had a friend who was like his manager before he got his record deal. That guy was really entertaining, and he had almost a B plot that seemed like maybe he had a secret infatuation, but that never really got capitalized. And I liked his part of this show for what he was given. And so that is where I will take it. I will take it as a 5. I mean, if you like pretty boys doing cute things, you might enjoy this. But if you're really looking for like a plot or something to sink your teeth into, this is not that show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm going to give it a 3. I thought it was terrible, but in like the worst way. Like, it's better to be so bad that it's memorable than to be bad and forgettable. And this was just forgettable. It was nothing. It says nothing. I don't care about it. It's a waste of my time. So yeah.
All right. Okay, so now let's talk. I want to save the best one for last. So I'm going to skip To My Star and go right to Color Rush.
Cool.
And Mason knows why I think To My Star is saving the best for last, because when we last talked about these shows, I talked a lot about To My Star because I found it very relevant. But Color Rush is just nonsense. It's just straight up nonsense. It is, if you thought that us saying that the skeleton plot was not elaborated on in Wish You, Color Rush literally just threw the plot up in the air and then ran as fast as they could away from it.
Absolutely. What the fuck? I remember the first episode. I remember thinking, this could be really good. I'd like to see where this goes. And like each subsequent episode was just like turd city.
Yes. So synopsis, Basin.
Okay, there's like, in this world, there are people who are monos and they see like black and white, and then each mono has, I forgot what they're called.
Probe.
Probe. Basically their soulmate that can, you know, like when they see them, they can see colors now. And monos apparently have like this bad reputation because a lot of them like murder and cannibalize their probes. And it's like crazy. Great. So you get that at the beginning. You're like, oh, okay. And then there's like this high school boy, and he's a mono, and his mom is a mono. And his mom is she dead? Is she missing? She's like not here. We don't know. But he lives with his aunt. He goes to a new school. And when he gets to this new school, he's trying to hide that he's a mono so people don't bully him. But he meets this boy who's always wearing a face mask. But when this boy takes off the face mask, it's his probe. They're soulmates. Oh man, he's soulmates with the blandest person in the world. How terrible for him.
Uncooked rice.
It's bad. And yeah, it's just like, I don't know. The plot's a little hard to describe after that, because it's like a little bit, where's the mom? A little bit, oh, is he gonna go psycho? Is he gonna go crazy? Gonna go all Joker on everyone? A little bit love story. Obviously, it's a boy's love. It's bizarre. And one of the biggest things that bothers me about this is we're in the main character's mind. Like, we're supposed to see the world from his perspective, but most of the show's in color. And so it's weird when they show like him finally seeing color was very weird, because we're watching the show in color and then it has to cut to black and white and then cut back to color for the big reveal. And it's like, it just would make more sense if this was all in black and white, except for the moments that he, the main character, the character who's we're inside his head, can see color. Why didn't they do that? Like, I feel like it's very A and B with this. I don't know.
Again, very much an AO3 plot point that was not fully fleshed out. So just to get names on the table, Choi Yun-woo is the mono and Go Yoo-han is the probe. The probe is the kid who used to be in The Boys. I think his name is Hwal. Hyun-woo, I don't know if he was in anything. I don't have that in my notes. But I want to talk to you guys just real quick. This show commits several cinema sins. Like, there's just a lot of shit that goes on here that makes no sense, that's really frustrating. But the thing that makes this watch the most infuriating is that you could see that given more time and given a writer with a little bit more finesse, this show could have been amazing.
A banger was laid out in front of us and we didn't get it.
There are so many things here that could have made this story absolutely memorable, and they just left it on the table because I guess who wrote this just decided, like, we'll use an interesting story to get the girls there, and then we'll just feed them fan service, and they won't ask questions because of all the fan service we're giving them. And it makes you angry, like just incensed.
Bad.
Okay, so go ahead.
I feel like this show, someone gave me the most gorgeous and delicious looking sushi platter. And they're like, okay, this is your order. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to fucking devour this. And then you take a bite and it's like uncooked rice with glue and imitation crab. And you're like, fuck, that's what this was.
Yeah, it's like somebody served you a sushi platter and you didn't know they had left it out all night long.
Yeah.
So it looked great, but you want to eat it and you're like, salmonella. You know?
You're like, ooh, is this avocado? And they're like, but it's mold, you know?
Yeah, it's bad. So first story, like, because there are multiple stories going on here that could have been full series. First story is the fact that the main character's mom is missing. His mom is a mono, a person who sees the world in black and white, and she and several other women go to some convention or some hotel conference. All these women disappear. all of them. And in the interim, between like the time his mother disappears and when we're brought back to the show, the father, who is the probe, has died. And so we don't know what happened to his mother. And supposedly his aunt is spending the entire show trying to figure out what happened to this boy's mom. And
Mm-hmm.
so that in and of itself is a whole show. The mystery of what happened to his mom, trying to find clues about, what about the other women that went to this? How are they connected? Why would somebody focus on monos? Is there like an anti-mono hate group that's finding ways to abduct these monos and kill them because they see them as like a detriment to society or potential serial killers? Like there's an
Mm-hmm.
element of like racism that could have been brought into that would have been very interesting. The fact that this boy also changes schools every time it gets discovered that he's a mono, that would have been really interesting to play up too, because in the show, and this is why I say it's in the show, his classmates discover he's a mono and like, we have to keep this a secret. But then like every time they seem like, hey, I heard you found your probe. And it's just like, is this a secret or not? Are we telling a secret here? Is it not a secret? But
Mm-hmm.
that would have been something that would have been really cool. Like this kid trying to outrun the people who are trying to kill monos, trying to figure out why it is his mother was targeted, what she and these other ladies have in common, and who did this. And also if his mother is alive. That's a whole show. A
Yeah.
whole show.
I feel like they didn't know if they wanted to do like the cutesy boys love school show or the ooh, he could be a cannibal, where's the mom show.
It
And so we're stuck with neither.
It also feels like there was more to that story that should have been here, because at the end of the story, the mono and the probe kid, they run off together to have some romantic beachside night out. And the other kid, the probe, his family is looking for him. He's got one relative who's like a chief of police, a relative who's like the chief of the prosecutor's office, another relative who's like a captain in the military. Like his family is super connected in government, right? It would have been brilliant if you find out that the probe, his family is a family full of probes. So they have this anti-mono bias, and somehow or another, his family is involved with the disappearance of the other kid's mom, and they have something to do with this. And that's why they were so upset when he disappeared, because they think it's revenge for the fact that they've been killing monos this whole time and covering it up.
That's very interesting. Maybe it is, because I think this is based off of like a web comic. So maybe in the web comic there's a lot more, and like the show just did a shit job adapting it, but it was bad. I mean, even that scene, how it played out in the show was really weird. Like they're just like, yeah, they're like hanging around on the beach, and then one of them gets a call, and it's like, oh yeah, my parents are trying to like arrest you because they think you kidnapped me. So we got to go back. And it's just like, okay. Like, sure. Way to introduce a threat and then immediately neutralize it. Okay, fine.
Another plot point, if you wanted to stay away from the whole murder mystery perspective, you could have had this be completely kind of a psychological, me versus myself type of thing. And you could have given it a mental health twist about the fact that the kid who's the mono, he notices his entire personality start to change the more he's exposed to his probe, to the point that he's buying equipment with the intent to kidnap his probe. Like he is slowly descending into madness. And this is one of those times where you could have definitely latched on to that, and we could have sunk into madness with him and try to see the ways that his probe maybe tries to rescue him from himself, where, things are kind of getting dark and he's slowly starting to like find himself engulfed by this darkness and is reaching out for ways to preserve his own sanity. That could have been very interesting as well. It would have been dark. It would have given you a stalking killing kind of vibe, but still, I think that would have been another way to go that would have made this very interesting.
That'd have been interesting. They could have done anything different.
Yeah, like to the whole madness storyline, at some point the kid decides it's better for me to end my own life. Sorry, trigger warning for attempted suicide. It's better for me to attempt to end my own life than to possibly murder my probe because I can't stand to be in the world without the vision he gives me.
I feel like that's what they were trying to go for and like really failed at.
Absolutely, because this kid ends up trying to hang himself. Like I said, trigger warning, attempted suicide. And his aunt apparently finds him immediately after the attempt because like he doesn't break his neck or have any of the other lasting ramifications that an attempted hanging would usually leave you. And he's brought to a facility that is a care facility just for him. And well, it's like a secret facility. They say nobody knows we're here. It's a secret facility for people.
Mhm.
And somehow or another, his probe finds him and breaks him out of the hospital. But while he's in the hospital, he says like the medicine they give him makes it to where he doesn't feel anything. Like
Mhm.
somehow or another, it just makes him like numb or empty or whatever else. And so he gets taken away from the hospital by his probe. And when he and his probe leave, he doesn't have any of the same desires he had. Like he doesn't spend the time sitting on the beach thinking, I'm going to kill you now. I'm going to eat you. Like none of he is when they leave that hospital, it is like he just met this kid. None of the same effects that he
Mhm.
had from this kind of probe lust that he was suffering from ever rear their
Mhm.
head again.
Yeah.
And it seems like that should have been something that would have also been important to introduce to understand the reason why the probe's family would have been so worried about him, because the show opens up on stories of monos who have killed and eaten their probes. And then all of a sudden their family member disappears and he's with the mono that he triggered. Like absolutely, there could have been a whole conversation about like you have to fight through this. We'll work through this together, or we'll figure out a way, but you have to control the beast. That could
Mhm.
have been more story. Never approached, never a problem, never nothing.
It was bad. I also
Also,
think that,
go
oh,
ahead.
sorry, you go.
No, go, because mine is a
Oh,
petty complaint.
oh, I was gonna say, I think that they also could have done like a very wholesome version of this, where it's like where they really focus on like the school aspect, because I did really like in the first episode that first scene where they're in class. Like I really like the two friends that they have. I think that like the established dynamic between the four in that scene was really good. And like I think it would have been kind of like nice to have like a cute show where this guy like, oh, he's colorblind, he can't see color. And he meets the person that can show him color, and he kind of introduces him to like the world, and he's trying new things, and they're kind of exploring the world together with each other.
Yeah, take out the murder and the madness and all that stuff and just make it a cute show. And a lot of the complaints that we would have would be forgiven. Also,
Mm-hmm.
like they never expand on the fact that one of the friends is basically a ghost whisperer.
Oh, very weird. I couldn't tell if it was he was joking, if it was played serious, because he kept being like, oh, the grandpa, he's saying blah blah blah. And you're like, is what? Okay.
Yeah,
What's this bit? They keep doing this bit. It's a weird bit. I don't
it's
know
just
about it.
left on the floor. Also, poor Wall, you're not an actor and it's okay. I forgive you. But the amount of lists they make this boy recite in this show are mind numbing. He's like, hey, can you tell me about brown? Copper, brown ochre, oak brown, brown cedar, cedar wisps, burnt brown, burnt oak, oak cider, cider and red. I mean, like, he literally, I would say 70% of his dialogue is him reciting different colors from Sherwin-Williams.
Yeah.
Like somebody literally gave him like a stack of swatches and they're out of like camera view and like sea foam, sea green, sea blue. Like it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And like at one point at the very end, the character like, how are you able to recite all these names? Like, I've been studying them so that I could teach you color.
Mm.
that's the emotional range. That's the range we get.
Yeah.
This kid can't act. And so they're like, well, we'll just make you read. Can you
Yeah.
read? And also,
At
if you
least,
notice, every time he recites a list, they only show like the side of his face because there's a bitch with cue cards flashing them in front of him. So they never show him face on. They always show him from the side, so you don't see him reading.
yeah. At least the main character was like a good actor.
Yes, yes, he was. But he
Oh,
was. Go ahead.
Oh, and one small thing, I did really like some of the sound effects. Like the scene where, like anytime where he like sees color and they do like the like the magic effect. I'm like, oh, the sound design is nice.
Yes. Also, small nitpick again. After the first time he's shown color, he like freaks out, and I get that. But then he has a second moment where he's shown color, and then after that, he goes back home and he sees his mother's portrait, and it's a portrait that he's always wanted to see the color of because he wants to know what color his mother's headband is because she told him it was yellow, and he's always wanted to know what yellow was ever since he was a little boy. When the probe suggests going to his house, the probe is the one who says, do you want to see what your mother's portrait looks like? And I'm just thinking to myself, if I lived my entire life never knowing what color my mother was, and I knew someone had the opportunity to show me color, and it's something I've wanted since I was a little girl, wouldn't that be one of the first things I would ask them to do? Especially if I've already got them in my house, I'd be like, listen, before we do anything else, I just need you to do a favor for me. Can you look at me because there's something I've wanted to see forever? And that's what I would do. It doesn't
Yeah.
happen like that. And it's just really bizarre to me that it doesn't happen like that. Like, it just makes me feel like this character doesn't have any kind of wants or desires, really.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to have wants and desires because you have to have character motivation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like he doesn't have any motivation other than to not be a murderer.
Yeah. It's bad.
It is. So if I had to give it a rating, just on pure frustration levels, I would give this one a 4. And I mean, it's got more plot and more story than Wish You, but it's just handled the fucking worst.
They fumbled the bag on every aspect, almost. Agreed. Yeah. A 4.
Even the cinematography is not good. Like, it's a boring looking show.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Like, there's one scene where they go up on the roof at night. He's like, I want to show you the colors of the city. And the city looks so fucking boring from that rooftop. And I'm like, this is what you wasted color on?
It looks like they didn't adjust the colors and edit. They just left it like it was in real life. And it's like, this is a TV show.
Yeah, you're supposed to make it shine. But yeah. So my rating for that one is a 4 just because of the absolute frustration I have with them not doing shit with all the things they introduce.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah, what's your rating?
Oh, I said a 4 as well.
Okay, cool. All right, so now let's talk about my favorite of the 3 to my star. Now, I'm gonna say, I think after we spoke the last time, I kind of changed your mind a little bit about To My Star.
I think you made good points. I still don't like it.
Okay, so synopsis, please.
Oh, there's like this rich actor, like really, really famous, like super rich. And he gets into a scandal where apparently it looks like he beat up another actor. He is caught walking out of a bar with the other actor like limping, and apparently the other actor was like, yeah, he beat me up. And you're like, okay. And so his manager tells him, okay, you need to lay low for a while to let the scandal blow over. So why don't you go stay at one of my apartment complex or one of my like little apartment complexes that I own. So he goes to stay there, but someone else is already living there. So one of the tenants gets a roommate, and the tenant is like this very solemn and like boring kind of chef. And now this rich puppy dog guy has to come live with him. That's it.
I liked To My Star. In fact, I have to say, I would really enjoy revisiting the To My Star universe because there was so much about this particular storyline that I felt was executed in a much more thoughtful and interesting way than the other two, and had a lot of relevancy in current events in Korea. And I found that to be probably the thing I enjoyed the most about this show. Number one, the actor, let me see his name here. So the star is Kang Seo-jun, and the chef is Han Ji-woo. And the guy who plays the actor is the best actor out of everything we watched, like
Yep,
straight up.
absolutely. He's really good. I like
Yeah,
him a
I would
lot.
love to see him in something else. He's very, very talented.
Mhm.
But the beginning of the show, we are treated to only the amount of information that the rest of the public got to see. And I really like that they did that, because I feel like if they had given us the full scope and then later on we saw the conflict, it wouldn't have been as interesting, because we would have known that the actor was being done wrong this whole time. Whereas by waiting until the end to show us the full video of what happened in the bar really helps us to be like, okay, well, I don't know if he's a jerk or not. I don't know what's really going on. Like, you have a hint right away that there's a problem, but you don't really get the full scope of what the problem is. And once you see it and you realize what happened, you're like, I can see why you didn't want to tell anybody about this. I can see why you tried to keep this under wraps and why you feel so betrayed about this.
Mhm.
Because what happens is there's video of them walking into this bar slash restaurant. I guess basically a restaurant, but people get drunk in restaurants all the time.
Right.
And then the last thing we see is them leaving the restaurant, and the one friend who's the less famous actor is like cradling his jaw or something, and he looks like the other actor's trying to comfort him, but he shakes him off. And
Mhm.
this leads netizens to believe that he was maybe trying to apologize for hitting him in the bar. But we don't have the CCT footage of inside the bar. And so we don't know what actually happened in there, but we do know that somebody got hurt. And also, we know that the other actor, the one who got hurt, is not communicating with Soo-jin at all. Like, he hasn't
Mhm.
answered any of his calls. He hasn't made a statement to clarify anything that happened. He's basically on radio silence. So
Yeah.
in order to kind of resolve things in the meantime, the management of the actor are like, hey, I've got a house you can stay at that a lot of people don't know about. You stay there, lay low. We won't say anything until we know whether or not there's an apology that needs to be made. And this will keep you from possibly having people assume that you're guilty or that you're admitting guilt, which
Mhm.
I have to wonder how long he was staying in this house, because we've seen scandals play out in the Korean media. That shit is a matter of hours. It's not days, it's not weeks. It is hours that people expect to get some kind of statement or something from people.
Yeah.
So he runs into this chef by accident at the very beginning of the story, because he's being whisked away from paparazzi. They make a stop at this restaurant because it's the only thing open at like 1 o'clock in the morning. And he orders some food, but really he just ordered food that way he would have an excuse to be able to use their bathroom.
Mhm.
And when he comes out, he's like, yeah, that looks great. I'm not going to eat it because I don't like eggs. Here's the money. The chef is like, you really wasted my fucking time. We weren't even open really. And I cooked this thing for you because you said it's what you want. And now you're not even going to eat it. Fuck you. I don't need your money. Get the hell out of here.
Well, he technically didn't ask for that. He just said, make me something good.
Yeah, well, you know what? You asked me to make you something. You didn't say, can I use your bathroom? Because you could have said that. Like, you
Mhm.
literally could have walked in like, listen, I really need to use the bathroom. Is it okay for me to use your bathroom? And I think him being a halfway decent person, he'd be like, yeah, that's fine. Go ahead. Or you could have ordered a coffee to go. You could have
I don't
done that.
know. No, I don't know. I feel like the chef would have been like, no, customers only.
He could have done that. He's like, listen, I'll buy a coffee, but I really need to go. And if he said customers only, like, okay, cool. Can you make me something to go? Because I got to get out of here, but I'm about to explode. Like, he could have done something to where this animosity that wasn't built up. But what's weird is that the chef saves the food all day, puts it in his refrigerator at his house, and then the next day, when after the actor has like somehow magically moved in with him, he feeds that same like day old food to the actor, which
it was like avocado toast with like egg on it too. It was like not a thing you should save for overnight.
not only that, but like you didn't know if you were ever going to see this guy again. So did you have it in your refrigerator because you were planning to eat it? Like, it just didn't make a lot of sense. So like that was one thing I'm like, this is dumb. This is dumb. But they get off on the wrong foot because of this bathroom incident. But then later on that day, the actor moves into his apartment because the apartment that he's renting for like really low money because the guy who owns it is also the manager of this actor. And I guess his family is friends with the manager's family, and that's why he was cut this really good deal. So the actor ends up moving in, and of course, you know, hard feelings because of the whole "you didn't eat my food when I served it for you" type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow or another, the actor gets the idea like, hey, I've got free time. I don't have shit to do. You are a good cook. Let me be like a sous chef at your restaurant. Let me learn how to cook at your restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And so he ends up being like a busboy or a waiter at their restaurant, which is crazy because he wears a mask the whole time. But as anyone who follows Korean media can tell you, the netizens are so on the ball. They can tell who you are by the shape of your fucking legs.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
When people do that shit.
Like, people are like, I know for a fact that you're dating this person because I saw their reflection in the spoon on the picture you took and put on the gram.
Mm-hmm.
That has happened. That's not a made up thing. That was when people thought that Victoria and Changmin were dating because was it Victoria and Changmin or was it somebody else? But like, she took a picture of some food and put it on Instagram, I think, or Twitter. And people said, we can see Changmin's reflection in the spoon. You're dating, aren't you? It's like, bitch, what? Who's looking at reflections?
I know similar things have happened with like after Jessica left SNSD, there'd be like a photo of like Yuri like eating dinner, and it'd be like, ooh, based on this, it seems like Jessica was also there sitting across from her. And you're like, guys.
Yeah. Or like when Kai and Jenny were found to be dating, it's because they would take pictures at the same landmark. And people are like, well, Jenny posted this 15 days ago and Kai posted it 10 days ago, but it's from the same angle at the same landmark. They were at Paris at the same time. I'm like, my God, no one gets away with anything around here.
Fans are too zeroed in on this stuff.
I mean, it is Sherlock Holmes. So the idea that you're in a scandal currently and you could work at a restaurant with just a mask on and nobody would know it was you. No, they would know. They would know.
It's whatever. I'm okay with it though.
Yeah. But they grow closer, and to the point that they're starting to have a friendly relationship. And then the actor kisses the chef, and the chef is like, yo. But he's not yo like no homo yo. It's more like, this is a lot. Like, I realize we're friendly now, but I did not realize that this was the kind of friendly we were.
Mm-hmm.
And so after that happens, he doesn't completely ice out the actor, but you could tell there's a bit of a strain because it just feels like this is not really something that he's ever explored or ever addressed within himself. So he's not exactly sure how to make things happen. But what he doesn't know is that the person that he runs that restaurant with is having some problems. And this is why this is my favorite of the three, because each conflict that they introduce, they keep going with it. So we find out that the partner in the restaurant, his family, their company goes bankrupt. And basically the restaurant is the only asset that the entire family has. But the restaurant is like a mediocre restaurant. It's not doing great. And so it's not enough money to rescue the whole family. But what would be enough money to rescue the family is by submitting a picture of an actor having a gay kiss with somebody and selling that to the public.
Yep.
And I loved this storyline. Like, I feel like I've been waiting for this my whole life. I feel like Kelly Clarkson, a moment like this. Only because I have, as a K-pop fan, this is something that me and my friends have been talking about forever. What would happen if a K-idol got exposed through a paparazzi photo?
Oh my God, it's crazy, but also it'll totally happen one day. And I hope it happens when we're all in our, oh my God, I forgot what words are. When we're Thunderdoming.
Yeah.
We have like weekly Sunday night Thunderdomes, sometimes kind of weekly.
Yeah.
And there has been like big news that's dropped during them. I just hope it happens there so we're all together.
Oh man, like if there was a paparazzi photo, and I'm only using this for impact purposes, I'm not insinuating that anybody is anything, so please don't get upset. But like, if somebody caught a picture of Jimin and Taehyung from BTS engaged in a full-out lip lock, and that photo was to hit the press in Korea, fire and brimstone, like everything would explode. And so this is something that we've always talked about as a possibility, because even the mere hint of something other than complete straightness has always been an issue in K-pop. Like Jo Kwon did Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, the musical, and people were like, oh, you're coming out as gay. And he had to tell everybody, I'm not coming out as gay. Even though in the last year or so, he's come out as being kind of gender fluid. But yeah, at that time, he's like, I'm not gay. This is not me saying I'm gay. This is just me performing a role. But even the fact that the role was of a drag queen, that was a big issue in Korea. And then there's always been idols that are kind of a will they, won't they kind of thing. So like this storyline, I was like, yes, need me more of this. How is this going to go down? So because of this need for money that the partner has, he takes these incriminating photos, and the chef realizes what's going on, and he's like, okay, well, then we're not friends anymore. Like, I will get my deposit back from my house. I will move back home with my family. I will give you my deposit money. Use this to pay off your debts. But if you're going to do something like this, we are not friends anymore. We're not business partners anymore, because it's not even the fact that you are doing something that's morally reprehensible, like outing somebody. It's also the fact that I'm your friend and you wouldn't even consider what my feelings are about this situation. You just assume that I would go along with you in helping to ruin somebody else.
Right.
Yeah. And I love that. I love that because there really wasn't any other way for him to approach that. Like, if this was real life, there's nothing else he could do. It's either you go along with your friend and you tell the press, well, I never wanted him to kiss me and he did that against my will, or you stay silent and you hope that nobody finds out who you are and that you can go under the radar. But outside of that, there's nothing you could do to stop this person from outing somebody else and really and truly ruining their life. Because this is an actor who's already under a scandal for supposedly beating up a friend. If you out him as gay, people are going to assume he beat this person up because this person wouldn't give in to his advances. And then it would really be over at that point. It would be over for him, and it would cause a lot of netizens to have a lot of anti-gay bias, because like, look what the gay people do. They'll beat you up if you don't give in. So, I mean, this could have been a huge deal. And the only thing that stopped it from going all the way is that the paparazzi person who bought the gay photos decided not to publish them. And then also, we finally find out what happened in the restaurant, and that clears the actor's name. So I'm gonna let Mason talk about what happened in the restaurant, because I feel like
I don't remember. I think the other guy, like the other actor, like started beating up someone at a different table. I don't remember.
Okay, never mind.
Something.
Mason is so busy being hot right now with his little see-through shirt that plot lines escape him.
Well, I watched this 3 weeks ago and I didn't like it, so I honestly just don't remember.
No, it's fine. It's fine. When you're busy being beautiful, details can escape you.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
So in the video, it's a video taken from the perspective of the people sitting at the other table, but then there's also like a CCT camera footage as well, and both of these get released to the public. It turns out that there was like a bunch of drunk guys at the table across from them, and they were making fun of the actor, saying he's a shitty actor, they don't like his dramas, they think he's, you know, basically a punk. And so they start a fight with the actor's friend who's trying to defend him. They get up from their table, they head over to the other table to start some physical drama, and the friend defends the actor. Now, you might be saying to yourself, why would the friend not tell the press what happened? Because he really was defending his friend. But something that Mason said when we talked about this the last time kind of hit home for me, because I oftentimes forget that Korea is not America. Like, I remember, but I'm like, there's little things that morally we would give a pass to that Korea doesn't. And if an actor beat up a fan, regardless of the situation, netizens would react negatively to that actor. And it's to the point that like things that I personally would never let slide, netizens on the other hand, like, you did such a good job. That was so great. So like, you know, from TVXQ one time got poisoned by a fan. A fan like fed him some kind of juice or something that had glue in it and almost killed Yuno. Yuno did not press charges. And people took that as a mark of Yuno's good character, even though had it been in America, everybody would be like, you need to see that bitch under the jail.
Oh my God, I can't believe he didn't press charges.
I would have, in a heartbeat. And then there's another,
for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like as soon as I was in the clear and I was no longer fighting for life, I'm like, do you know who did this to me? Because I need to hire some goons. Like it would have been on. But there's been times where female idols have been stalked at fan signs, have been stalked on the internet. There was some girl who was stalking, I think is it Nayeon from Twice?
Yeah, she had like some German guy and it got like really scary, I think, for her.
Yeah, he showed up in the JYP building looking for her.
Yeah,
and,
that's really scary.
Yeah, and when that happens, Nayeon was completely silent. JYP said, we'll pursue this with the law or whatever. But she, on the other hand, never made a peep, never made a sound. And people are like, oh, she's so classy. Meanwhile, around these parts, if it was an American person and there was a big furor over like this person on the internet is stalking them, they would have been on Instagram Live talking about, I got people watching out for me. If you come anywhere near me, it's going to be trouble for you. Like they would have said something. But in Korea, it is considered more acceptable to turn the other cheek and to be forgiving when somebody is trying to destroy you. And in this case, even though the friend actor was defending him, the fact that it got physical is the thing that would have made netizens turn on him. And so the actor and his friend meet up and he's like, listen, my manager found out that you guys are going to do a press release tomorrow where you're basically going to say that it was me that beat you up. And I just want to talk to you real quick and ask you, why are you doing this? And his actor friend, again, the reason why I really, really like this show, gives the excuse that to me is the most realistic reason that I've ever heard in one of these K-dramas.
Yep.
I'll let you tell it.
Yeah, he says, I'm finally getting big parts because this boosted my career. This is giving me great press. And the fact that the storyline of you beating me up has landed me multiple lead roles now, whereas I've never had one before in like 10 years of acting. And he's like, you're already rich. You already have more than enough money to live on forever. You know, you can always find some parts somewhere, but it's my turn to be the lead.
And I just love that that was his motivation, that it wasn't some stupid, like, I was afraid to tell people what. No, he's like, literally, it's about the fact that even though we're friends, I've always been jealous of your success, and I found a way to turn your success into my success. And my success means more to me than our friendship.
Right.
And I love that, because that is so much of what can really happen. Like, when we talked about this the last time, we talked about the fact that, you know, there are a lot of like idol friendships where people are on different success tracks. So like Jessie and Tiffany from SNSD. So Jessie, the rapper singer who signed to Size P Nation, she took a while for her star to rise, but right now she's really hot. And Tiffany, you know, debuted with SNSD. She'll always be a celebrity. Like, there's really nothing she could do at this point in her life that will ever keep her from being a celebrity, because she was part of SNSD. But for a long while there, Tiffany was the more famous friend. And there were a lot of times where Jessie probably could have been a bitch and had thrown Tiffany under the bus to get herself propped up, but that never did happen. And Jessie is messy. Don't get me wrong. It's not that Jessie's not capable of it, because when they did their little interview for Jessie's show, Jessie was messy.
Jessie was really trying to get Tiffany to slip up and say something. And Tiffany's sitting there like, bitch, I have a decade of SM SM stardom under my belt. You can't catch me slipping.
Not today, Satan.
Every SM idol would be great in like an interrogation room. You could not get anything out of them.
Can't crack. So, I mean,
even Jessica couldn't get her to crack with fucking her book.
No, like, she basically hired a ghostwriter and said, it wasn't me, but my name is on it. Fuck you. So, but yeah, like, that happens. Or like, recently, Taemin from SHINee, his friend Timoteo, who was supposed to debut with EXO but left SM before EXO debuted, he ended up debuting with a group called Hot Shot. They disbanded about a week or so ago.
Yep, with zero hits under their belt.
Lots of reality show appearances, but never really anything that worked. And, you know, Timoteo could have used his connection to SM and his connection to Taemin, and he could have used that to get popularity. He could have taken any of Taemin's worst moments and used that as fodder to say, like, I was trying to be a good friend, but he's a really bad person. Never did it. But it's got to be tough to have started at the same place in life with your friend, and 13, 14 years later, your friend is a megastar and you're a part of a group that's disbanding, and nothing has ever really happened for you guys.
Yeah.
And, you know, to keep your integrity and not turn on your friend, that takes a really strong character to not break down when being a celebrity requires a lot of egomania. But the storyline for To My Star really brings home that not everybody is on that high character level. Some people are more self-involved. Some people are more narcissistic, and some people are more apt to throw you under the bus.
Yeah.
So the friend admits what he's done and was going to continue on that path. Had no intentions after this conversation to be like, I'll be honest with people. Now that we've talked and I see things from your perspective, I'm not going to do that. No. What happens? Sorry. What happens is that, thank you. The star shows him the CCTV video and he says, we're releasing this right now. So that press release you were going to put out about how I'm such a bad person and like I beat you up, good luck doing that when I've shown everybody the video of what actually happened. And the friend is like, no. Your suggestion about us doing a friendly press release, we should do that instead. And he's like, no, I gave you the opportunity. When you walked in here, the first thing I asked was for you to do the right thing. And you showed me you have every intention of doing something else because you're self-serving. And just to let you know, I'm not a lead actor for nothing. I'm just as self-involved and selfish as you are. Why should I have to share my wealth and my opportunities with you? I don't have to. I could stay fabulously wealthy and I could stay super famous and I could let you drown. And
Mhm.
that's what I'm going to do. Bye now.
We love to see it. I was like, hey, queen, you go.
I loved it. I loved it. I love the fact that they didn't make him the good guy. Like he was still the good guy in terms of, you know, he's a nice guy, but they didn't do the thing that a lot of shows do where the bad guy never gets his comeuppance. Like they didn't pull a Tharn type season 1 where the bad guy's allowed to just go away and no one ever addresses what he did ever again. No, real punishment and consequences showed up at his door. And I love that. I need more shows to actually give people real consequence. Because after they release the CCT footage, all of the Korean public is like, this guy is a monster. This guy is a terrible friend. Oh my gosh, the actor is such a good guy because he didn't want to tell everybody how awful his friend is. Like, he came out smelling like fucking roses compared to his friend.
He came out probably more successful than ever in some ways.
And then when they talk about the fact that during the time that you didn't see him, he was learning to cook, and now he's got these YouTube videos for you about him cooking, made him seem even more charming.
Yes, that was a really smart little subplot that they added, because that's really popular now. Is doing like cooking on YouTube if you're a celebrity.
Yeah, so like that's why I say I realize that you didn't really enjoy To My Star, but in terms of like storyline and follow through and real life scenarios, I just love this show. I just love this show. And then like the romance between the two, obviously the guy who plays the chef, he has a more closed off kind of sundery character personality arc. And there were still some things about him I would have liked to have known. But I like the fact that after he realizes that like the threat to their relationship is gone, he opens up to the actor and allows them to pursue their relationship. Like he doesn't make it overly complicated. Every time he turned the actor down, you knew exactly what the reason was, and it wasn't a stupid reason, it was a valid reason. And once that danger disappeared, he was willing to give himself over to this relationship and explore it.
And I think one of the things that sealed that in was one of my favorite lines in the whole show is he goes, "I'll come out for you."
Yes.
You're like, it's a keeper, everyone. He's a keeper.
Yeah, like after he agrees to give the relationship a shot, the chef is still a little standoffish, and the actor's like, listen, I know you're uncomfortable, and there's a lot of things about dating me in the closet that are probably not ideal. So I just want you to know you don't have to go through that for me. If you need me to come out, I will. And at this point in the game, like he's got enough goodwill with the public that coming out on his own rather than coming out because he's forced could change the narrative for him.
It could. I think it could go either way in Korea. I really think it could be like an Ellen thing, where the first really, really big person that comes out, someone on top, maybe gets some domestic backlash for a little bit. And then after a few years, the public sway will kind of come around.
And it does take a few years. There is an actor whose name I cannot remember now, but he was actually on Jesse's show a few weeks ago. And
yeah, the bald guy, right?
Yeah. And he came out, and it was 3 years before he was able to get back on television. 3 full years. But in that time, he spent his time cultivating friendships. And actually what he did is he opened a series of restaurants in Itaewon, and those restaurants became like super popular, and a lot of celebrities would go there to support him. People that were friends of his from the industry who like couldn't outright say that they supported him, but could be seen going into his restaurants to show that he's not off limits. And that's how he built himself back up. And now he's a regular on Variety.
Right. And that'd be a great thing for like this couple to do if that happened to them, and be like, well, fuck, you want to open up a couple restaurants, baby? Okay, here you go. You know, I'll backfund that.
Yeah. So I really loved that happened as well. And then, of course, they had a couple of bed scenes where they talked about, you know, actually dicking each other down, which does not happen in these Korean boys' loves.
Yeah, no, I like that scene.
Yes.
This show, I'll be honest, it's very boring, but I think that the conversations it brings up are extremely interesting. Like, I am so bored watching this, honestly, but like talking about it is much more engaging. I don't know if that makes sense. I just think that like once the conflicts all are like really figured out, I would say the last like 30 minutes I thought was like engaging, but like the first, you know, hour or so, 40 minutes were not good.
Yeah, like there are a lot of points where you felt like they concentrated on the wrong thing. They should have spent more time showing kind of the cuteness of the relationship prior to the big breakup. That would have been probably a lot more fun. It would have been
Yeah.
more fun to have more people talk about like what are netizens saying right now, that kind of thing. But overall, I guess for everything that this show does address and address in a very realistic and hopeful way, I felt very connected to this show. And so for me, my rating is very high for this show. My rating is a 7.5. I really, really like this show. I love the lead actor. I love the plot line for this show. I love the conversations the show has. I love the way that they write out these plot lines and the way they resolve things in a way that for me was very morally pleasing. I really like this show, and if I had to revisit this universe, I would be very happy. But what I love is that they tied up every single loose end that I did not need to revisit this universe, and I loved that. The only person whose story we might be like, oh, I wonder what happened to them is the business partner, and the business
Yeah.
partner basically like took the money and ran, and so I don't give a fuck what happens to him anymore. But I really enjoyed the fact that like they wrapped it up and they wrapped it up right. And
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this show. I really enjoyed this show.
I did too. I would give it a 6 though. I think it was, they handled a lot of interesting topics, but in a very like, they did a decent job.
They gave you the Cliff Notes version of some very important topics.
Yes, and I think that's my problem is it's like, I think with a couple rewrites maybe, this could have been really beefed up more. And I ultimately think that me having to check my phone constantly to see how much time has passed is a real big ding on this show. So a 6. Interesting conversations. The main actor was fantastic, and some of the cinematography was really gorgeous.
Yeah. Also, my favorite little subplot was him and those fucking omelets. I was like, please teach this baby to cook something else.
Oh no, Asian omelets are kind of, I just don't like omelets in general.
I don't mind omelets, but I'm just like, at some point, people are going to get tired of this. You've got to teach him how to cook something else. Teach him how to cook his pasta. Like, do something. This
Yeah,
boy,
because he like studied in Italy. That was like his thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't really have a rant. And the reason I don't have a rant is because I spent so much time talking about To My Star and talking about a lot of stuff like netizens that really my rant would have probably revolved around netizens and their hyper reaction to things, especially in light of like last month was Bullies Incorporated. Like all
Yeah.
netizens could talk about is all the bullying scandals, and some of them turned out to be true and super awful. Some of them turned out not to be true, and some of them were still like, I don't know what to think. But that would have been my rant. But we talked significantly about netizens and the way they react to things and why it's so hard as a Western fan to really understand it because of this cultural difference. So I don't really have a rant. I just want to give you guys 3 Instagrams to go to, because when me and Mason were talking about these shows before, I said to him, like, there are definitely some shows that I feel like had one actor who really did the most to carry it. And so I'm going to give you one actor from each show that I felt did the most to carry the show. So let's start. I have to take off my glasses in order to do this, guys. I'm sorry, your girl's blind. So the first actor we have is Yoo Jen, who is the actor who plays he plays in Color Rush. No, I think about it. He was in Color Rush. He played the mono in Color Rush. And his Instagram is YYJJUN, like Nancy, _XX. And at the time that I took this screen cap, it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, he had 225,000 followers. So good amount. The next one that I'm going to talk about is Esong, who played the intern studio kid from Wish You. And his Instagram is Ideal to Song, and it's IDEAL, the number 2, and then SANG. Now, he doesn't have many followers, even though he was a part of a K-pop group. He's only got, as of 2 weeks ago, 37,000 followers, which is crazy to me because, like, he was in a K-pop group, but whatever. And then the last Instagram I'm going to share with you guys is the guy who played the actor in To My Star. He played the star. And his Instagram is Sonwoohyun7, and it's SONWOOHYEON and the number 7. And he's got 79,000 followers. The fact that he's got more followers than a kid who was in a K-pop group, that lets you know my name was suffering. My name was suffering. But anyway, those are the Instagrams. And if you'd like to follow any of them, now you've got them. So there you go.
Yeah. I don't have a manga of the week today. So I guess that leaves it for what we're doing after this. And after this, we are going to be talking about the anime film Dokusei, or Classmates. And yep, that's what's next. I think after that, we don't know. You'll find out in the next episode.
Yeah. Tune in next time.
Yeah. All right. Thank you all for watching. Bye.
Bye.